student athlete myself. No problem. I was a former student athlete myself at the Ohio State University. I played 4 years of college softball there. And I'm super excited to kind of share my experience a little bit with you guys about that. But just to give you my professional background and how I came to MSJC. So I did my undergraduate education at Ohio State in social work. And then when I decided I wanted to go back to school, I got my master's degree at Cal State Fullerton in counseling. And while I was there, I was a graduate assistant in athletic academic services. And I worked with student athletes developing a mentoring program and also doing some academic advising with the student athletes there. Upon graduation, I actually got my first job at Mount San Antonio College in the community college system, worked there about 2.5 years. And at the same time, I actually got hired here at Mount San Jacinto College. And I've actually been here going on my 16th year here at MSJC. And I'm super excited to be here with you guys. And I am the Student Athlete Support Program Coordinator and Athletic Counselor full-time in the athletic department. So if you guys do decide to come here, I will be your athletic counselor and I'll be working with you throughout your time here. So what I'm going to do before I get started is I'm going to go ahead and screen share so you guys can see the presentation. And Beth, throughout the presentation, if there is any questions, you can go ahead and interrupt me just because I can't see when I'm screen sharing. Can you guys see my presentation? Go ahead and just holler if you guys can see it.
We don't see it yet. Are you able to share the screen?
Okay, hold on. Let me see. Maybe it's.
Yeah, you guys, as questions come up, type them in the chat. Later on, we can unmute each other and make this more interactive. But I think we'll let Jennifer present first, and you're going to learn a lot. And then take notes, take screenshots or screen captures of the screen as much as you want, as far as I'm concerned, with your phone or whatever works for your computer and device, because there's lots of cool links and then, you know, continue to ask questions in the chat. We can see your screen now, I think. Is everybody, feel free to learn to use the reaction buttons in the Zoom meeting too, like clap or show us some love or thumbs up, because I can't see your heads nodding. Thank you.
Yeah, and you guys can see it now? Perfect. Okay, and so what I'm going to do as well, just so you're aware, on our Student Athlete Support Program website, I have sent it to our Sports Information Officer, and he's going to post this presentation to our website. So afterwards, if you guys want to, I've linked everything, all of the PDF documents. Typically, when I'm on campus, I bring copies of all the PDF documents that I'm going to reference, and you guys would have hard copies, but since we're virtual, we can't do that. But I've linked everything. So you guys can actually go to our website and pull up all the PDF documents that I'm going to reference tonight. So you're free to do that because there's a lot of good information. So this presentation I've actually designed for 9th to 12th graders. So if you guys have any younger siblings or cousins or anybody of anything that I'm going to talk about tonight that might be relevant for them, you definitely can share it with them and let them know, just because it might be something that you're like, man, I wish I did that when I was in 9th grade, or I wish I did that when I was a sophomore in high school. And you can share it with them, and actually it could be very beneficial for them as well. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started, and feel free, you can just holler or use any of the reaction buttons, and I'm happy to go ahead and stop and answer questions as well. So just to give you an overview about our program very briefly, I'm not going to go into any details, but this is just the overarching, I'm a very visual learner, so this is the overarching approach to our academic support program here at MSJC. I am your athletic counselor, so this first portion over here, we do educational planning, career counseling, academic counseling, crisis intervention. We refer services if there's any ongoing mental health issues to our health center on campus. And then I do that specialization with the NCAA. I am actually the I'm on the Tier College Relations panel with the NCAA. I'm actually the only academic professional in the entire country that gets to serve on that panel with the 3C2A, NJCAA, and the NCAA. And I actually get to give them feedback and write legislation in the country that impacts Tier College student athletes transferring onto the four-year college. So I have that specialization in order to help you as you move on to the four-year college. So that's the athletic counseling component. We also have an athletic forum every year that is the first Friday of every fall semester, which you will see this coming fall. It's always topic-based. So we might talk about anti-bullying, or we might talk about plagiarism, or we might talk about drug and alcohol use that impacts student athletes. There's always a topic, and at that athletic forum, you will meet your college president, you'll meet other administrators, support staff, coaches. We all come together in one event, and then we have a barbecue after. Obviously, last year during COVID, we weren't on campus. We actually recorded the event. Everybody sent in a different clip, and then we sent it out to all of our student athletes. We have athletic instructional support, which I'm going to talk a little bit more on the next slide. We have our student athlete summer bridge workshops, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about and how we're going to deliver that at the end of the presentation. And then we also have support courses. I teach college success and career readiness classes. I'm currently in the middle of one of our 6-week classes that you could take if you want an additional college support class that can help you. That's a transferable 3-unit class to Cal States and UCs. I also do a virtual mental wellness workshop series that can help you. It's a series of 6 workshops that I deliver for all of our teams. And then we also have what this is our College Bound Student Athlete Night. And this overarching approach is really the intent is to get to you to that goal of student athlete graduation, to get you ready for transferring on. This link right here is the link to our website that you can kind of read over the entire approach to getting you guys to be successful in college. And then this flyer here is on the outside of our buildings on the San Jacinto campus is where our center is housed in 1452. Our scholars program. So this is really what I pride ourselves on. This is our study lab. So our student athlete scholars program, we developed it back in, I believe it was 2009. We started really researching and collecting our data in 2013. I actually wrote my dissertation on it. And this is really our institutionalized program that shows students that use our program 10 or more times throughout the semester. They go in and it's our study hall. Our coaches will mandate, a lot of our freshmen have to go in at certain times, so many times during the week. We have Taylor Bell, who actually monitors the program. We have Randy Johnson, who is our tutor in there. And we have proven that students that use the program 10 or more times throughout the semester have increased success rates. And actually, as you can see right here with the GPA, over the longevity of studying it over a 5-year, 6-year period, our GPA rates have increased. So if you use the program consistently, which this is designed just for our student athlete population, you will be more successful. And as we increase the hours of operation in our center, there were more student contacts. So the NCAA does require Division I if you want to be a transfer and move on and play intercollegiate sports. You have to they mandated a 2.5 or higher GPA to actually transfer on and play. As you can see, if you use the center, we're here to make sure that you are successful as student athletes at the community college, and our program proves that success. And I think that's really important to understand that we provide that for our student athletes here. Just to talk very briefly about initial eligibility, just so you understand that you have to be in academic units to be able to be eligible to play. At the California Community College system, you have to be actively enrolled in 12 units during season of competition. So for example, if you're a football player, you start playing, let's say around Labor Day, you have to be actively enrolled in 12 units during season of competition. 9 of your 12 units have to be units counting toward your educational goal. So that means they basically have to be academic based units. So you can't be enrolled in a bunch of PE credits and be deemed eligible to play. So you have to be in active academic units. Courses must be consistent toward your educational plan. You have to develop your educational plan with an athletic counselor. It has to be someone like myself that works directly with student athletes who's been trained in order to understand the NCAA rules, the athletic eligibility rules in order to play, and you have to be deemed as an amateur student athlete, okay? The second thing that you just have to really understand about basic eligibility, short-term courses can be counted toward the 12 units as long as they start at the beginning of the semester. So when I say active units, that means that they can't be late start classes. They have to have started. So we do have late start classes that start, if it's a fall semester, we have classes that start in October. So within those 12 units, you can't have 6 of your units that start in October because that means they're not active units. They have to be classes that started in August, Okay, so just keep that in mind. And then a student's educational plan must be completed by these dates in order to be deemed eligible. You have to have your ed plan by October for fall sports and March by spring sports. That is the eligibility rule, but we do have an internal rule, an internal policy that you have to have your ed plan completed by the beginning of the season. And that's what I'm going to talk a little bit more about that when I talk about the summer bridge workshops. And then eligibility checks are done weekly by our college administrative representative, who's Amber Rogers in our athletic department. Okay, so here's the steps you need to take to participate in NCAA Division I or Division II athletics your first year in college. So if you are in 9th through 12th grade and you are planning to try to become eligible to go directly to a four-year college out of high school, okay, and you're not planning to come to a community college, this is what I'm going to talk about right now that you need to prepare yourself. So even if you're a high school senior right now, and you have a brother or sister that maybe is playing travel baseball. I have a son who's playing travel baseball right now. And his goal is to try to go and follow in his mom's footsteps and go play at baseball at Ohio State. You know, I'm going to make sure that when he's in high school, he's doing all of these things he needs to do so he can, you know, meet that goal of getting a scholarship. Okay, so you have to think about these things. What is the NCAA Eligibility Center? This is really important to understand. Determine initial eligibility for, they are the organization who determines the initial eligibility for athletic participation, okay? The students considering that they want to participate in Division I or Division II, they must register with the Eligibility Center at some point while they are in high school, okay? If you haven't done it yet, okay, that's okay. You can still do it, okay? You have to take your SAT or ACT even if you're going to a community college. So maybe you're at that point that you haven't been recruited yet. That's okay. You still want to take that. Okay. Now there's some COVID relief that I'm going to talk about because there is some legislation that has passed for students from last year and for students this year. And I'm going to talk about that because they just announced it at a conference March 30th that I was just at. And then so you have to understand that there is other rules with the NCAA, and here's the website as well. And then here's the contact information, which I have another slide with more information about that. So this is what high school freshmen and sophomores should be doing, okay, and should understand. When you're a freshman and a sophomore, you absolutely have to start planning if you want to be a Division I or Division II athlete. And why is that? Because there is a list of 16 core courses that you have to complete while you are in high school. And this is not the A through G requirements. There's a lot of confusion that surrounds this. A lot of students think if I finish the A through G requirements and I graduate from high school, I can go and play at a Division I and Division II school. That is not necessarily the case, okay? Your high school has to register all of your requirements, all of their requirements through the NCAA, okay? 7 of the 10 courses must be English, math, and science prior to their 7th semester in high school. You have to complete these 7 of 10 prior to that 7th semester, okay? You always want to work hard to get the best grades possible. Yes, everybody says that, but it's absolutely true because I'm going to talk a little bit about your SAT and ACT scores and your GPA within the 16 core courses and what the sliding scale means in just a couple minutes, okay? Take classes that are matching your high school NCAA list of approved core courses. Now this here, I'm not going to click on it because sometimes these presentations could take 2 to 3 hours. Okay, we just don't have that time because I know a lot of you would probably fall asleep. But this here is linked to finding your high school list of NCAA courses. So after we get done here tonight, I know Chris Mosga, our sports information officer, has not posted this presentation yet. It should be posted by either tomorrow or Monday. It depends on when he gets time to put it on there. But you guys can take a picture of this and go to the website. You actually can go to the Eligibility Center website and just follow this. You just click on help resources at the top of the screen and you can find it fairly easily. You can always talk to your high school counselor, let them know you're a student athlete. You want to find your course approved list for student athletes. But every single year, your high school has to register their courses with the NCAA every single year. Because if they actually have new curriculum of a new course, let's say your high school has a European history course that they just added to their social sciences, they have to then register it with the NCAA. If they don't register it, it's not on the approved list, okay? A lot of times new schools, like maybe there's a new prep academy or a new prep school. Like we have Santa Rosa Academy that's fairly new over here in Menifee. They had to register every single one of their courses when they first opened, and it was a learning curve for some of that staff. So you have to understand that every single course has to be registered. So you always want to check all your courses to make sure they're registered with the NTA, especially if you're a competitive athlete. Okay. So all of this has to be taken into consideration your first 2 years, even just your freshman and sophomore year. By your junior year, that is when you want to start actually registering with the NCAA. Okay. So you'll go onto the Eligibility Center website, and then you actually start the registration approval process. Your junior year is when you want to start taking the SAT or ACT or both. It's completely up to you. And when you actually register and you take the SAT or ACT, you actually put the code in 9999. That identifies that you are a student athlete, and they automatically start sending your score reports to the NCAA Eligibility Center. Okay. Make sure that you take courses that matches your high school list every single year. You notify your counselor you want to be on the NCAA approved core course list. Okay. High school counselors are supposed to know, but they don't always know. Okay. But you always want to make sure you constantly communicate with the high school counselors. Okay. After completing your junior year is the first time you send your official high school transcripts to the Eligibility Center. Okay. Does not accept fax transcripts. They actually have to be hard copies, and you have to send them directly. Prior to your senior year, you want to check with your high school counselor and the Eligibility Center to determine the number of core courses needed to be completed by your senior year. The reason you want to do that prior to summer is because summertime is when you can take any classes you might be missing prior to your senior year. And that's very important because of this. You have to have 7 of those 10 classes completed prior to your senior year. Okay. Your senior year, you want to take the SAT or ACT as often as you can, because they're going to use the best scores from each of the different sections to determine your cumulative score. So if you got a higher score on your math section one time, and then on another time you got a higher score on your English section another time, then they're going to use both. They're going to combine the scores. Okay. Continue taking your core courses, take courses matching your high school approved list, earn the best grades possible, graduate on time. That's huge. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that on the next slide as well. And then after graduation, send your final official transcripts to the Eligibility Center with proof of graduation. A lot of times when I get a student athlete that comes to a community college, like maybe they thought they were going to go to a four-year college, they did everything they needed to do. They come to me, we log into the Eligibility Center to determine whether they're a qualifier or non-qualifier, and it says not yet determined. It's because they never sent their final transcript. So at the very end, once you graduated, you always got to make sure you go back in and you send that final transcript. Okay. Now on core course completion on time. From the time you enter 9th grade, you have 4 years or 8 semesters to complete the 16 core course requirement. They used to allow you to finish the summer after you're done. Even if you graduated, maybe you met the A through G requirements, but you're missing one core course requirement within the 16, they don't allow that anymore. So on time means that if your graduation takes place on June 1st, you have to graduate June 1st, okay? So you got to make sure that you have that graduation date on June 1st and that your core courses are all completed June 1st, okay? If something happens where you're missing one and then you want to go to summer school and take it, they don't allow for that anymore. They would deem you as a non-qualifier. Okay, so NCAA freshman eligibility standards quick reference sheet. This is the easiest sheet to determine. There's actually a Division I manual that's like a Bible. It's huge. This is actually linked. Like I said, this will be on the website, hopefully by tomorrow or Monday. If you just click on this link, it'll take you directly to this 2-page PDF document. This is where you'll see the 4 years, the actual 16 core courses. This is 4 years of English, 3 years of math. So this is Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Geometry or higher. Okay, so 3 years of math, 2 years of natural physical science, and a lab science if you have it at your high school, which most high schools have now. 1 year of additional courses, 2 years of social sciences, and then 4 years of additional courses. I know it's a little bit hard to see here, but if you download it, you'll see it. And then this shows you the sliding scale for the GPA. So the higher that you're, and they're only looking at the GPA in the core courses. They're not taking like any of your PE classes or any of your athletic classes or any of your electives. The GPA is only in the 16 core courses. So the higher that your GPA is in the core courses, the lower that your SAT or ACT score is, as you can see here. The lower that your GPA is, the higher that your SAT or ACT score has to be. What this little red area is here, Division I a few years ago, they implemented what's called an academic red shirt. So typically what they're doing is they're saying you can actually be in a lower range and you can receive full athletic grant and aid, which means your scholarship, and you can receive, you can actually get into that institution, but you can't play. So there's 5 years to play 4 seasons. So they're basically saying you can use your redshirt year and go take classes and be there. You just can't play. So you can actually get in as an academic redshirt to show that you're ready. But they're not going to allow you to play that first year. So this is new. This is actually good news for students that maybe might struggle a little bit academically, but still be on scholarship. And that's just for Division I. There's also another PDF for the eligibility quick reference sheet for Division II, because it's a little bit different. The GPA standards are a little bit lower for Division II, but it is also a sliding scale. And again, this is also linked so you guys can go back to it and reference it as well.
Hey, Miss Dr. Jen.
Sure.
One student is mentioning in the chat that they were under the impression universities are waiving SATs and or ACTs because of COVID. I know COVID is not going to be around forever, but can you address that concern?
I absolutely will. It's actually the next slide right after this.
No worries. Thank you.
So for Division III, this is actually fairly quick. So for Division III, just know that they do not have athletic scholarships and you do not need to register for the eligibility center for Division III. A lot of students get confused thinking that they're on athletic scholarships if they get recruited to a Division III school. What they're doing at Division III schools is they're putting together financial aid packages and academic scholarships at Division III schools. So just be cautious if a Division III school tells you they're giving you an athletic scholarship. They are not, because they do not have them. They're not allowed to. So just be cautious with that. So for COVID relief for the SAT and ACT, you're absolutely correct, whoever said that. This is a document that I was sent in May of 2020. They came out with this. There's a new document that will be coming out in May 2021. It has not come out yet. However, this was what was presented at a conference on 3/30/2021. I actually just took pictures because they haven't sent us the actual, because it's only been about 15 days since the conference, but I took pictures on my computer when I was watching the conference virtually so you guys could see it. The standardized test scores are excluded from D1 and D2 initial eligibility criteria for students who initially enrolled full-time at an NCAA school during the 2021-2022 academic year. However, the NCAA did tell us these are the reasons why you still may want to take the SAT right now, because the SAT is being, and ACT is being administered. So if you may be required by admissions per institutional requirements. So if you're going to a high academic based school, and some institutions still may say that you have to take it. But the NCAA is not saying you have to take it per athletic related reasons. Okay. They are also saying if you're on like a partial scholarship. So some Division II schools, baseball, for example, they're very, I would say, I don't want to say they're well known for not ever giving full rides. Like baseball programs at Division II schools, they always say like, oh, you're on a full ride, but typically they'll give you like full tuition, books, and won't give you like room and board. They'll say, okay, try to apply for these academic based scholarships. Well, if you're applying for an academic scholarship, then they might say you have to still take the SAT or ACT. And then another reason could be like for an institutional placement, or if you're trying to actually place out of a course, they might be wanting to use an SAT or ACT score. But to get into, to become a qualifier, they're saying right now there is COVID relief for that. Okay. And that is for the 2021-2022 year. They're saying the next year, the SAT or ACT is definitely going to come back. Okay. Okay. So eligibility center, step 1 registration. So this is any student that's interested in going to a Division 1 or Division 2 school. So you still have to register. The certificate, there's 2 different accounts. I'm going to show you a screenshot in a couple minutes, like what the 2 different ones look like. There's a certification account and there's also a profile account. So the certification account is the official one that you have to go through the full process. For domestic students, it's $90. For international students, it's still $150. If you receive the fee waiver on the SAT or ACT in high school, you actually will receive a fee waiver through the eligibility center as well. If you get that approved through your high school. So you want to check with your high school counselors about that, and you will get that fee waiver. The profile account is if you are one of those students that isn't sure if you're going to get recruited or you haven't been recruited yet, you might not necessarily need to set up that full certification account yet. But if you are actively being recruited by a Division 1 or Division 2 school, then you would definitely want to go through that certification account now. Okay. But the profile account is no charge at this point. You just start setting up the account to start the process. Okay. And then what is needed to get an academic certification? You have to fully pay the amount. You would start the process of getting your official transcript sent from your high school or any all secondary schools attended. You have to have proof of graduation. So once you graduate from your high school, you have to have that final transcript sent. You want to have all your test scores, if you did take the SAT or ACT, sent directly to them. But if you haven't taken that, like I said, there's that COVID relief in place right now. If you do take the SAT or ACT, so if we have any 9th graders to 11th graders on here, just know that you want to make sure that you put that code 9999 on there when you take the SAT or ACT. Now, if you're coming to MSJC and you get here and you log in and they still haven't processed your certification, you're like, why does it still say my certification's pending? Okay. The only people that they will talk to at the NCAA Eligibility Center is the student. Unfortunately, they will not talk to a counselor. Once you're 18, they will not talk to any parents or guardians. You actually have to call them directly and you have to request that your certification get processed. It's unfortunate that they don't process every certification that comes through, but at one point they had told us they had 650,000 certifications pending. What they do is if you are placed on an official recruiting roster at a Division 1 or Division 2 institution and you've paid that $90 and all of your tasks are processed, I'm going to show you some of these screenshots in a minute. They will then process your certification once everything is on there. But this is what you have to say. You have to identify yourself as a 2-4 transfer. You would say, I go to a California community college and I'm in need of an academic decision. Then they will move forward with processing your certification. Unfortunately, with our association, we have pushed and pushed and pushed that we say, you've provided a fee, they paid the fee. Why aren't you just processing them? Unfortunately, it's because they're overworked. They don't have enough staff, so they don't process them unless it's requested. So you do have to call. Just be persistent. Make sure you know what you're asking for. And then they'll process it once you're at a community college, whether it's here or at another community college, you do have to call. The timeline for request, they say that there's no specific timeline. They say they try to process within 10 days once you've requested it. But just make sure if they don't, within 10 days, you call again. You just got to do what you got to do. Why might they not be unable to move forward? It's because there's probably missing documents. Maybe you haven't sent all your transcripts. Maybe you haven't sent your SAT scores. Just make sure that you look, and I'm going to show you, like I said, in a minute, I'm going to show you what those look like, those missing tasks, if there's any. High school or non-traditional programs not cleared. Just make sure, a lot of times students don't send all their transcripts. If you've gone to multiple high schools, you have to request transcripts from every high school. You can't just send the last transcript you went to. A lot of students get really confused about that. They're like, well, I graduated from there. It shows my graduation. It shows all the classes that I have. You have to actually send every single transcript from every single school you went to, or else they're not going to process it. Okay. NCAA institutional involvement required if postgraduate coursework or test scores, validation of coursework needed. NCAA school must engage in validation. Just if there's anything that's on like an NCAA school, that's very rare. You guys are still in high school. It's probably not going to have anything to do with you guys at this point. So I wouldn't really worry about that. And then international students, the biggest thing with this, if there is anybody that has international transcripts, the biggest thing is all documents have to be official. All documents have to be translated. So they can't be in any foreign language. They have to be translated in English. Just make sure that you're registering through the International Eligibility Center. So when you go on the Eligibility Center website, you're clicking on the International Eligibility Center, not the Domestic Eligibility Center. Sometimes there's some confusion there. And then amateurism. This is part of the Eligibility Center, but it's a little bit separate. When you're going through your certification process, this is kind of the second part of certification. This is mainly to prove that you're not a professional athlete. You really just want to make sure that they're just certifying that you can play intercollegiate sports. Here's a couple red flags that I always just talk to students about. Always ask before you act. These are some red flags. If you are a high profile athlete or you were a high profile athlete in high school, these are always things you have to just make sure you're questioning. I was actually, I wasn't like a crazy awesome athlete or anything, but I did, I always use this example. Like I went and played the summer prior to going to college. I went and played in Japan with my club team. And when I went to Japan, we were given a lot of things. They give you a lot of gifts. But you have to make sure like you're not getting something above and beyond what the other athletes on your team are given. Like if I was given $100 stipend and the other athletes on my team were given $2, I would then be deemed as a professional athlete. You have to make sure that everybody is getting the same amount, right? So these are kind of the things you need to look for. Signing a contract with a professional team. Obviously you can't do that, right? Or else you're then a professional. Receiving money for participating in athletics above and beyond what everybody else is. Receiving money outside of what the necessary expenses are. So you might be given, when you're with a club team, you're getting per diem or something like that, but you have to be given what everybody else is given. You can't be given something, you can't be given like special gifts and things like that. You can't be called like by an agent. You can't be represented by an agent. This is very common in baseball. A lot of times what I hear some people saying is, hey, call me an advisor. They can't call you. You don't ever want to be represented by an advisor, right? Because that's essentially an agent. That would be saying that you're then a professional. Okay. You just have to be very cautious. You have to be very careful. I've been around sports my entire life. I was pretty competitive. By all means, I was never a professional, but I've been around professional athletes my whole life. So just be careful, because if you lose your amateur status, that means you can never play NCAA athletics. So just be careful and ask people for help if you're confused. These are just some screenshots of the Eligibility Center that can be helpful. So this one on the left-hand side, if you're looking at the screen, is the actual creating an account, and on the right-hand side is creating a profile account. Okay, so just basically this is just a rule of thumb. If you're thinking about Division III or you're undecided, or maybe even an AIA, you can start with a profile account because you're not going to get charged. But if you're really looking at D1 or D2, then you would want to create the actual account. And then this is what the task list I was talking about on the left-hand side where it says status. You want to make sure they're all check marked as green before you're going to call the Eligibility Center and request an academic decision. If any of these have a red X, they're not going to process your certification. Okay. The one right here where it says required information regarding initial eligibility and banned drugs, that's basically just, it's almost like a questionnaire, and it's just explaining that you understand what banned drugs are within the NCAA. I always tell all of my student athletes, even the ones that I meet with individually, there's a lot of supplements out there. There's a lot of supplementation. Like even I go to NutriShop and I buy proteins and I buy things all the time because I'm really healthy. I love health and wellness. But you have to be very cautious of what type of supplements you're taking, because there are supplements that are sold at the store all the time that are banned drugs with the NCAA. So you just want to make sure once you're at that level and you're competing, that you're very cautious and you're very careful, because you might be taking a legal supplement that might be banned with the NCAA and you're putting your eligibility on the line. So you just want to be careful sometimes as to what you're doing. So it might be as easy as something right here that maybe they can't actually give you an academic decision because you haven't done that checklist. So when you're logging into the NCAA, just make sure that all of these things are complete, that you sent your transcripts, that you have all your scores sent in, and you've done your amateurism certification. And again, your amateurism certification is just questions. That's all it is. Okay. And then this will show you kind of when your certification's processed, what your final qualifier status, non-qualifier status will look like, and it'll show your amateur status here. And then this is where it might show you, like, if you're an early academic qualifier, it's like a preliminary if you actually have sent everything in. And you might even be in your senior year. If your scores have come in from the SAT or ACT and they've seen all of your classes that you've taken, it could actually tell you, as long as your final transcripts come in, you pass all your classes, it could say early academic qualifier to give you an idea, but it might not say final qualifier. The final qualifier will actually, it might give you an idea as long as you pass your classes here. That's what that'll say. And then these are just this is just some information, some resources for you. Once you're at the 2-year college, like I said, this is all linked so you guys can pull this up and read some more information. But like I said, I'm going to actually talk about it in a sec, but this is a good resource once you're at the community college, or if you know you're going to come to the community college, just some best practices for 2-year college student athletes. And then NAI, if you think you're going to go to an NAI, I've actually only had one student athlete in my 16 years that's inquired, that's had a 4-year college recruit them that said, oh, go talk to your counselor about registering with the Play NAI. They call their eligibility center Play NAI. You don't really have to worry about that now until they've actually recruited you. It's really easy to register. It just says right here, register student. This is just a screenshot on their eligibility center. It's not something you have to start early. You just have to go on and do it once you're recruited to the NAIA institution. The NAIA is just a separate association similar to the NCAA. And it's not really a big deal. They have different set of eligibility rules. If you come to a community college and then you're going to transfer to an NAIA school, if you're NCAA eligible, Division 1 or 2, you'll definitely be eligible to go to an NAIA school. And then this is just some information I like to share with you about it. MSJC research is kind of done over a 5-year span. We haven't pulled it in a while. This is just to show you that our student athletes are actually more successful than the general student population in terms of transfer. And I think a lot of that is just because student athletes are actually held to a higher standard in terms of GPA. Our student athletes on average transfer in about 26 months versus our general student population. This is pulled from our institutional research in about 30 months. And then back from 2017-18, we actually awarded over $500,000 in scholarship money. Over a 4-year span, we had about $2.1 million in scholarship money. This is a little bit outdated just because of COVID. We haven't pulled the research in quite a while, but we really pride ourselves in the amount of student athletes that we get out and transfer. And a lot of it, I think, is because of over time, we built a really good team in terms of our athletic counselors, our student athlete support program staff. And I always like to end with this, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about our summer bridge workshops that we just started planning today. Education is knowledge, and knowledge is forever. This is our volleyball team getting back on campus. You can see them in their masks, back on our new football field, that now we're going to have a brand new football field over at Menifee. This was our groundbreaking of our football program over at Menifee. Fall 22 will be when we open our football stadium. We're super excited about that. Hopefully that'll happen, in fall 22, because sometimes things get delayed, but it looks like it's going to happen because we actually just started the build over there. If you guys go by the 215, you'll see it popping up fairly quickly. And then for those of you that are going to start in fall 22, and you guys start summer classes, our student athlete summer bridge registration workshops will be in the classes. So if you guys are going to start, you guys don't need to worry about actually we're going to do them in class in the summer classes. So if you guys register for the summer classes, the next steps, I'm gonna hand it over to Beth in just a minute to talk about how you go about the registration process. She's gonna talk a little bit about that. But I'm doing the workshops in the PEIC classes this summer. You guys will get your classes set up in self-service. So when the early registration dates actually come, all you're gonna do is hit register. We're gonna make it super easy for the new students this summer. I was super excited that our VP of instruction actually gave me the go-ahead 2 days ago to start planning for in-person workshops. So I think I'm probably going to be the first faculty member back on campus the last 2 weeks in June to actually see students again. I haven't been on campus because I went on sabbatical when COVID hit. I haven't been on campus, seen a student in a classroom since 2019. It's kind of crazy. So the last 2 weeks in June, I kind of put some notes on here. I don't need to like read it to you guys. But the last 2 weeks in June, I'm going to be doing workshops with our other athletic counselors with all 11 sports. We're going to get all the brand new freshmen in a classroom. We're going to do their abbreviated ed plans set up in self-service. Their fall semesters will be set up with the actual classes they're going to take. So the first week in July for priority registration that all of our student athletes get, as long as you're in those classes, all you're going to have to do is hit register. We're super excited about that. So we're going to follow, the CDC COVID, guidelines to have you guys actually be in the classroom with us to be able to register. So your coaches will tell you more information about that. So what you'll want to do at this point is listen to Beth, and she will kind of walk you through. I just put this slide up here on there, Beth, just so they could see it. So, and then just so you guys know, I did put up these slides on here, so it'll be on the website. That's just about our support programs. I know you're gonna probably talk a little bit about that, but I will exit out of my presentation. I'll stop sharing, and then I'll hand it over to Beth. Unless anyone has any questions, you want me to?
Yeah, there was one, well, you answered the one for Casey about SATs and ACT, but the other one was about summer. Will there be another, I'm sorry, let me find it. I just had it. For MSJC, if our team starts practicing over summer, do we have to be enrolled in a class over summer, or can we still wait until fall? If I could share that, that's from Amanda. Amanda, go ahead and take yourself off mute and ask.
What sport is it?
Yeah, I think it's volleyball.
No, I play softball.
Sorry,
It's
again?
softball? So what I would probably do is I would probably contact Coach Clark, just because she's a spring sport. So it kind of just really depends. If it's a fall sport, you would always want to enroll in summer because that's kind of like the preseason because they start right in fall. But since it's a spring sport, I would email Coach Clark and just ask her, because they end in spring. Because we're in COVID and it's kind of different this year, she might start wanting to kind of get girls in right away in summer. So it might not be that she's gonna, I would email Coach Clark right away and just ask her. She might tell you don't have to be in the class, but you probably definitely want to come to the workshop and just let her know, because you want to get that early registration date. Because the only way you can get that early registration date is to come to that workshop, because you have to create that abbreviated ed plan. And she has to get you on her list, because that's the ticket to be able to get early registration.
Yeah, because I've been talking to her, but she let me know, like, the last message was that there will be like early registration for summer classes, but she never really told me if I had to do summer classes. So
yeah, I would circle back with her and just communicate and say you came to this. Say I went to the workshop, and then Jen just mentioned that we should circle back and just find out, if it's possible to get into that. You can always email me too after you talk to her, and we could always set up an appointment to create, because to get early registration for summer, you do still have to do at least an abbreviated ed plan.
Okay, thank you.
Could you provide your email in the chat?
Sure.
I think I know it, but I want to make sure I got it right. I will put my email in the chat as well. Another question is also, thank you, you guys, you've got Jen Burleson's email. I will also provide you with support beyond today. It's at our website. We're virtual, right? So you can actually walk in virtually to a virtual lobby at any department, and certainly in our virtual welcome center. I'll put that in the chat. I get one more question. Students in 11th grade, they'd like to enroll for summer for Spanish. I'll talk about concurrent enrollment as well. Also, Mr. Bell has got.
Yeah. So Taylor Bell does my schedule. He actually can schedule the appointments in Cranium Cafe for me. So you can email him too. His name is Taylor Bell. He's actually the Scholars Program Coordinator, but he has access to my schedule. Like if I'm on an appointment, like sometimes like since I see all the students, like he's like my front desk support staff. So he can schedule the appointments too.
Well, I do know the coaches take really good care of our athletes. Come out and see a game for sure if you're here just to be a fly on the wall and listen about, but if you're an athlete, I hope you learned something new. I hope you got what you needed. Feel free to keep the questions coming and we will share this presentation later as we're recording.
And then I also see that other Jennifer Burleson on the screen. Wave. That's actually Darnell Bing. He's the other athletic counselor, one of the other athletic counselors and the Mojo coordinator in the district. So it's really Darnell. That's not two Jennifers.
I signed up on like an online thing for an appointment. Did you get that or did I do it wrong? Okay, Audrey, if I could share that because it's out to everybody. Please activate if you haven't already your student email. That goes for everybody, every which way. You've got to, I'll talk to you about how to enroll and all that, but it's vital that once you apply to college that you activate your college portal and then activate your student email, which just means giving it a password because that's where we'll communicate with you for everything, including a confirmation for that counseling appointment. I take it that's what you are asking about, an online appointment with a counselor?
Yeah.
Very good. If you didn't get a confirmation email, I would, like we say, circle back with counseling from the Student Support Hub, and I'll put that in the chat. Yeah. Okay. So Miss Dr. Burleson says they would
I can check.
Yeah. Very nice. Well, I will dive into this and keep the questions coming. I just want to give you a visual of what it looks like to apply. All of you may be at a different part of this whole process, so you'll see where you are. So we'll go from top to bottom in the last 20 minutes of this presentation. We might go a little past 6 tonight. If you got what you needed, you're welcome to leave, but I would love for you to hang out. So let me share my screen and thank you for the support, you guys. I'm so glad you're here and you did this. Good stuff. You're looking at a slide that shows you who can apply to MSJC. Now, we just heard you need some ACT and SAT scores. Typically though, for the general student, you don't need those for admission. In lieu of that, you're going to prove yourself for the first 2 years of your academics and then transfer to university. And students do it seamlessly all the time. Now, certainly you're going to graduate from high school, but if you don't have a high school graduate degree or diploma, rather, you need to be 18 years of age. So that's just an overview of who can apply. Everyone can apply. You want to be prepared with your social security number, your personal email address, not a school email, and your grades in English and math. We typically don't need those for admission, but the GPA in those grades is telling us what math and English class you should start in. We don't want you to take classes that are too easy or too hard. The other reason we don't want your sort of high school email is because those go dormant or get deactivated, right? We really need that personal email connection. We may or may not, well, never mind. So yeah, we need your personal email address, your GPA, and you look those up on your transcripts, even though you're not a graduate yet from high school, get as close as you can to what you think you're going to get. It's just to place you in academics. I'll show you the website in a minute, but the place to apply is that red button at the top of our homepage, msjc.edu. You look for the button that says enroll now. You click on that and then click on the red button that says apply now. You apply to the college by creating an account at what's called the OpenCC website. You create an account, and then I'll show you a visual of that as well. Then you start the actual MSJC online application and you sign in with that username and password that you created. It's in Spanish as well. Here's a little visual of what it looks like. I'll take you to the website though currently as well, but it's pretty much like this. I need to update some screenshots. If you've already created an account, you just sign in at the blue button, okay? Otherwise you create the account. It's 3 pages of creating an account, okay? It looks like this. We need your full official name. You have a chance to put your nickname down here if you have a preferred name, but use the name that's on your official government ID, like a California ID or driver's license or your social security number. Your last name, you need a middle name if you have it. If you don't have a middle name, a lot of us don't have one, you just check the box. Here's where they want your birth date. And here's where they want your social. So you'll bubble in that it's a social security number that you're going to type in. And guess what? If you don't have a social, you can still apply to MSJC. You just need to bubble in the box or check the box that you don't have a social. Okay, quick check in the chat. Okay, so you can register for classes after you do this application on the date and time that we generate for you. You're going to submit your application, and after you create this account, and you get an email from us immediately with your MSJC ID number and username for our website, for the college website. That's why it's so important to then follow the directions in that email to activate your accounts. So you'll register for classes for summer after April 26, Amanda. I see the question in the chat. And you'll register for fall in July. So I'm so glad you're here, because you have that whole month before the semester starts to register for classes. You can show up in August, but things are getting kind of full and we'll get you a class, but you have that whole opportunity before the semester starts, a whole month or 6 weeks about to register for classes. So the schedule of classes is up right now for summer, and review that to see if we're offering what you want for summer. Apply now for summer or fall, because that app has been open since October. So our fall and summer apps are open. Here's the second and third page of that creating an account, just to give you a visual. Then they want your email address, your phone number, your street address, and then create a username. You're welcome. And so stick around. I'm reading in the chat that you're thanking me for this process. It's nice to see a visual, because this whole process is easier than you can imagine. The application is free. There's no fees to apply to the college. And then you're still in the driver's seat, so to speak, because you won't register for classes until we give you a date and time to do so, and you'll do it in July. I'll get to that in a minute. I'll probably say things 3 times, but create a username and password for the CCC Apply website. It wants a 4-digit PIN. Just make any 4 digits. That's in case the site crashes and it can recover your activating this account or creating this account. Then it wants your security questions, right? So that if you ever forget your password, we know who you are, who you say you are when we go to recover your account. So that's what it looks like to create the account. Once you've done that, you'll get this little ID number that I've never known anyone to need. I've blocked it out for security reasons, because I created an account, just a fake account, to show you the application process. And then it will ask you to continue. When you push that continue button, that's where you return to the sign in area and you can sign in. Complete the application. I'm going to jump ahead. I'm going to go to the website and show you again where all this is. But once you submit the application to MSJC, you will get an email from us. And this is what that email looks like. You actually might get a couple emails. Thank you and welcome to MSJC. Thank you for applying. But the email you really need to make sure you get is the one that's giving you that activation code right here. You copy and paste that code into the link that's in the email. And all you're going to do is activate your account, and I'll show you where that account is on our website. The college portal, we're the Eagles. We've called it Eagle Advisor, but we're going to a term called self-planning. If you go to Cal State Fullerton, you're a Titan, so you have to log into the Titan portal. It's the college portal where you do everything as a college student. It's where your grades are posted. It's where you register for class and where you complete an online orientation. So real quick, your next steps are to get that email, make note of your username and password, make note of your activation code and activate your MSJC college portal, which we used to call Eagle Advisor, but we call it self-planning. You do an online orientation. You look for the link that says welcome to online orientation. And orientation is easy peasy. You just put your earbuds in, whoops, you listen to a video, and you're done with online orientation. Activate that student email. And then check for your registration appointment. At least it's probably going to be posted a good 6 weeks before the semester starts. That's the earliest time you can register for classes. And it might be on a weekend, guys. So you might register for classes at 9 at night on a Friday. So we're not there to help you, but we're there Monday morning. And actually, prior to that appointment, you will have met with a counselor. You've gotten your ed plan, which they post to your self-planning portal. So that's real convenient. You'll see what classes you need for your very first semester. And I will show you where to make that appointment with a counselor right now. Register online on or after the date we give you, pay for classes, and then check your financial aid status too prior to registering for classes so that you know if you have to pay out of pocket. A lot of us get the Promise program, which is a fee waiver. And then you know if you have to pay out of pocket for classes. All right, so I hope that was a helpful visual. Let me show you the website real quick. We're msjc.edu. And everything's here. It's just knowing where to click, right? Remember I said it's the Enroll Now button. There it is. But I just want to show you along the top here is a lot of cool newsy things. There's a lightly colored arrow you can scroll through. The photography students and our art students have a gallery running right now. You can see what student life is all about, student government. We have over 30 active clubs. You can get involved with Umoja, Puente, A2Men. There's so much student life, even in this virtual world, that I really hope you go to class, but you also get involved. And if you're athletes, you're going to be busy. So please ask for academic support. We have free tutoring in every subject. And there's lots of ways to get involved. So a little tiny tour of the website before I show you how to apply. Scroll down to the center of the page is the schedule of classes. This is the summer schedule. If you click on it, it shows you how to read it. There's a cool little video here. The fall schedule of classes will post about May, okay? And then to the right of that, next to other newsy things, is the area where you do everything as a college student. This is where you'll log in. Remember I said you're going to activate it with that activation code, then log in here with the password that you create. Canvas is your shell for classes. Once you activate your student email, this is where you log in for that student email. We have free career coaching and free career exploration quiz, which is very cool. And then if you scroll down here, there's our 4 locations. We can't wait to be back in person. When you open the schedule, okay, you'll see that classes are taught in summer. It's strictly online right now, but in the fall, we hope to be back about by 50%, doing a lot of hybrid kind of things, socially distanced classes, wear your mask even if you're vaccinated, and we'll stay safe and get through this. But this is the addresses of, we're all the same college. I want you to know you can open the schedule and circle classes. You could take a class at Menifee and one at Temecula in one the same semester and throw an online class in there too. You go at your own pace and at your own schedule. Any questions about that? Now, after today, you hang up, you go to do something, or you go to remember what we talked about. You can't remember, there's help. We're here all summer long virtually at the Student Support Hub. I'm hovering my mouse over the link to the Student Support Hub, but look, it's also here in this newsy strip along here. What does this mean? You click on it and you can drop into a live chat with a real person that's just waiting there to help you. They're there till 5 o'clock every day and until noon on Fridays. Please take advantage of this. There's someone waiting there to help you. It's a live chat, no appointment. You don't need to log in for that. The same thing goes with any other department, particularly your financial aid. Remember I said you can follow up on your financial aid before you register for classes. How do I do that? We're going to post it at your self-planning portal where you logged in, that account you activated, but you can also click on financial aid right here. I scrolled down the page and drop into their virtual lobby. Follow up asking the status of your FAFSA. You may not have to pay for classes. So that's always nice to know before you register. Same with enrollment. They have their own virtual lobby there. And if you scroll down, you can meet with the cashier, with the bookstore. We have every book you need for every class, and many of them are electronic. We have the Student Health Center here. If you're a student with a disability, we have access to your accommodations there. Here's the athletic lobby, okay? This one does require log on. So that's why it's so important to activate your account. And what are you gonna do if you need help activating your account? You're gonna go to this welcome center here. They'll help you activate your account. Maybe you didn't get the email with the activation code. Sometimes that happens. So check your spam and junk mail folders. It's only technology, but don't sit home and grumble. Reach out and ask for help. In college, you really have to advocate for yourself. Also, there is the Learning Resource Center. Remember, I told you there was help for your academics right here under all the departments are here. Honors Enrichment, first year experience program. I encourage you to apply to the college and also inquire about that program, which is fantastic support that really smooths the transition from high school to college. It's just a great free college success class. They're doing some fun summer bridge things too. I'll put all these links in the chat. And I'm sending all this stuff out to your high schools. I hope they're sharing it at your high school portal. Any questions about the hub? Know that we have a student support for career and transfer. It's all here at the Student Support Hub. How did I get there? It's right there at the top in black. I think that's it for the website. How to enroll. I love this. Dr. Jen just showed it. When you click on enroll now, you're a first-time student. Even if you already applied to MSJC or were taking classes in high school, click on first-time student. Why? Because it's all here in this order. Follow these steps in this order and you should be golden. Here's that free career exploration. You don't know what you want to major in. You don't have to set a major up even your first semester of college, but it's always great. The sooner you know, the sooner you'll get in and out. But if you want coaching on that, there it is. The application is here. There's that red button. Okay. You can explore money for college. 2 of 3 students in our district get the fee waiver. You could get the first 2 years of your degree for free. Now, and they look for more than, they look at more than income and taxes, whether you pay taxes or work or not, for eligibility. So do your FAFSA. It's not too late to do your FAFSA for MSJC as far as seeing if you get our Promise grant, which is a fee waiver. Remember I said you got to activate those accounts, and it gives you instructions right here and in that email that you get. It tells you how to activate your student email. But again, if it's clear as mud, you're going to go to the Student Support Hub, right? Or email me. I'll put it in the chat. There's the orientation, tells you where to go. It asks you to log in and complete that. And then meet with the counselor. I want to show you step 7. I love this. The link to the new student counseling sessions is right there. These sessions are designed for brand new students. It's not for concurrent enrolled students, students that are in high school. And I didn't forget you, concurrent enrolled student, you're asking about summer. But these sessions are great for brand new students right out of high school. They prefer you go to this session and then meet one-on-one with a counselor. So they're going to add a lot more, but there are some here that you can, I want you to, don't freak out when you get this message. You just agree to the terms and log in with that account you activated. So this does require a login. But get that counseling appointment out of the way now because they're not that crowded. This is great that you're here. So I get excited. Okay, back to the steps. There's step 7. Step 8 is check your registration appointment. It's in your self-planning, and then register for class. And I want to show you that step because at step 9, there's a little video that shows you how to navigate the website and a ton of visuals here. They're actually going to go over this in your new student counseling session, but hey, in your spare time, start learning how to be a college student, watch the video and learn how to register for classes. Where did I find all this? I clicked on enroll now and first time students, and all the steps are there, plus a lot of things along the side there, all the frequently asked questions, commonly needed forms, a lot of helpful links. Does this help? All right. You can apply while you wait for the high school to assign, I'm sorry, the question is, can I apply while I wait for the high school to sign the agreement form? Yes, you should, yes. Is this for concurrent enrollment, Evander? If I could share that publicly, you direct messaged me, but yeah, you can. For concurrent enrollment, okay, for those that are here about you're in high school and you want to take a high school class, I mean a college class while you're in high school, click on high school students, not first-time students.
Can you repeat that, please?
So if you're a student on this session that's in high school and wants to take a college class while you're in high school, you can do that, but you need pre-approval. All the steps are right here under the, I'm showing you my screen, click on enroll now, but click on high school students. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Cool. The reason is it's all there. This is a whole nother half-hour presentation because there's a few other hoops you have to jump through to be a high school student, to be a concurrent enrolled student. But I'm going to show you briefly. It's all here. Read all about it. And right there at the bottom is the link to the packet. And on that front page of the packet are all the steps. Again, do it in this order and you'll be in good shape. But I'm going to put my email in the chat. I'm happy to help you one-on-one at a separate date, even tomorrow, not tomorrow, actually, next week. So email me at, it's just the word outreach at msjc.edu for help with the high school concurrent enrollment process, or go to the Student Support Hub. They'll help you there tomorrow till noon if you're anxious to get started on it. I'm not available tomorrow. You have to meet with me by appointment, but it's faster actually to get help at the hub. It's up to you.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Please get me your questions now because I know you've been so patient and this is a lot of information. What other questions do you have?
Well, his mom is here. Thank you so much. I just wanted to verify he wants to take the summer class for Spanish so he can hopefully enroll in a 4-year program in the 2022. So he's trying to prepare now. So we already submitted the form to this high school, but I wasn't sure if we should apply for, like, how do you, like, what comes first? But we never did the application online. We just submitted the paperwork to the high school.
Is this for dual or concurrent enrollment?
It's concurrent enrollment.
Okay.
Well, not actually dual. He will be in high school next year as well.
Right. So some of the classes are taught at your high school, but either way, that form, that school parent agreement form has to get turned into us and you can upload it at our student support hub. But the form needs to be uploaded with your high school transcripts and then you wait for approval and then you register for the class. So make sure, I always tell the students, make sure we're offering what you want. The summer schedule's on our homepage right now. You have to put that on the form. Parent principal signs it and then you upload it to us and with your official transcripts and wait for a phone call or email. It takes about 10 working days to hear from us. And if you don't hear from us, go to the support hub. They'll follow up and they can look you up. I really can't look you up, but they can, and they can see what the status of your school parent agreement form is and approve you to register for the class. Then you go online and register for the class, and you have to have applied to the college first, done your online orientation, and then submit that form.
Okay, that's what we needed to know. Perfect.
Okay, good. And like I said, that cover sheet, it's in that order if you do it in that order. In other words, you can't turn that stuff in unless you've applied because we don't know who to apply the form to because you haven't got an ID number, and that's what you get when you apply to the college. Right.
Got it. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, enjoy that. You will graduate, as far as I'm concerned, with high school credit. That's up to the high school, but with college credit, you've saved time and money because if anyone else on this chat knows, we have concurrent and dual enrollment that offers you those classes tuition free. And you graduate with college and high school credit. It's a great way to go, but read all about it at the website. You're welcome. What other questions do you have? Yeah, have a good night if you guys have to go, but I'm gonna hang back and answer more questions. I went through it kind of fast. I hope you listened fast. We'll do it again next Thursday night. And sometimes I don't always have time to address your specific nuances, but I'll show you where to get the help.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I hope you learned something new and that this was helpful. I promised you some links in the chat, so while you're thinking of other questions, I will put those in there. This presentation is actually on YouTube on how to apply. I want to share this with you too to get you excited about the Temecula campus. There's a 2-minute video narrated by our superintendent president, and it's a virtual tour of TVC, which we're anxious to get you in, open that up soon. Of course, COVID slowed that down. If you want to hear all about how to apply, there it is again. You can hear it again for the first time rather. But there it is on YouTube. You can pause, right, and stop and start and rewind it and show it to mom and dad. And then share this night with, you can come back next Thursday. I'm doing them through, I'll probably do this through summer. There's the link to pre-register for the other app jams. I think it's the same Zoom link, frankly. What else?
All right. Well, thanks, Beth.
So, I have one question.
Yes.
So if you're doing them every Thursday, is it like going to be all the same information, or do we have to keep coming on Thursdays?
It might be slightly different, you know, if you didn't catch it, come back next week. Yeah. And then you might hear, it'll make, you know, the more you hear it, the more you know. It won't be a athlete night though. It won't
I'm
be.
not here every Thursday, just so you know.
I wish you
Okay.
were, but
Beth's here every Thursday.
Okay, thank you.
This was just a special night for athletes with me here, but every
Okay.
Thursday, Beth's a very special person and loves to be here every Thursday.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Beth. I'm gonna go
Thank
too. So
thank you so
you
much.
were awesome. Thanks for
You go
letting me.
too.
Tonight.
Awesome. Good night.
All right. See ya.
Bye-bye. Yes, I love students. I'll be here. I'll be there every Thursday night. I'm going to stop recording. Thank you.